Okay, so I'm gonna put everybody. It says kick from studio. That's what I do. It's not giving me that option. It just says kick from studio, ban from studio. Okay, Tana, I'm gonna put you out of the studio, and I hope it doesn't kick you off the broadcast. Remove
Okay.
from the studio. You should, if you want to prevent this person from rejoining,
The volume is really low.
join Tana because I just don't know what I'm doing. Or you can try to join from the Facebook group because that's what I need to do is just invite everybody from a Facebook link, right? Okay. Kick from studio. Okay, hold on. Why am I so old all of a sudden? I used to know how to do stuff. This is crazy. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So Tana it worked or she figured out how to get on. So do I need to invite them using the StreamYard link or the Facebook link? Milani, I don't know what I'm doing. Facebook link. Okay. Hey y'all. I'm acting old all of a sudden. I used to know how to do everything and be very tech savvy and now I'm not. And so yeah. So I need to invite people via the Facebook link. So let me do that. Um mhm. It worked or she figured out how to get on. What the hell? Y'all, I can't find this link to send it out. Oh, I'm so annoyed. So annoyed. What the hell? I need help, y'all. Okay, hold on. Let me call tech support. Hey, I don't know how to get the link to send it out to people. Facebook, like when I click on the Facebook post, okay, somebody said, here's the link. They see I'm struggling. I want it in all the groups though. I don't know if, okay. And then I need to send it to Hugon's people too. You don't have, how do I get this off of my screen? Okay. Okay, do that on your end and I'll try to figure it out over here. Okay, thanks. Okay, y'all. Um, I'm having technical difficulties, as you can see. Um, anyway, I don't like this angle. Okay, so hey, y'all. Hey, I am here to answer any questions that you might have and just to chat you guys up. I haven't done one of these in a minute, so answer any questions that you might have and just to chat you guys. And I'm also I haven't done one of these. Hey Ken, how you doing? Good. Hi, Love Dimples. Y'all, this is so weird. Why it won't give me a link? I don't understand. Y'all, this is so weird. Why it won't give me. I know what to do. Okay, people are coming. They must be sending it out to the right people. Cause like I'm technologically challenged right now. Okay, y'all. I'm so used to doing broadcasts on Zoom. It's weird for me to just be here like talking by myself. So I'm like waiting for the room to fill up, and I'm realizing y'all are not gonna say anything. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to do this live to give y'all an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. Um, that's the purpose of Ask Me Anything. So, what's up? Ask me something. What's going on? What do y'all want to know? Nobody has any questions? Y'all just came to see my beautiful face? Now, Priestess Saya, you're gonna ask me a question that is meant for you. You are the moon follower. Um, Priestess Saya asks, "What is good for the partial eclipse um, on the 19th?" So, um, and you're at work. I can't even bring you on here to answer this. I'm going to defer that to one of our moon priestesses. I know for eclipses, um, hold on one second. Somebody has a question about chakra hexing. Can you hex multiple people at once, or do you need it to be for each one? So yes, yes, you can absolutely hex more than one person at a time. If you're going to do so, though, they need to all be kind of connected to the same situation. So it could be like a work group, people who work together. It could be um, people who are in a particular family, or just people who are connected. Okay. It's just going to make more sense, and you will have less interference, I think, if the people are connected. But if you're just mad at a whole bunch of different people um, that are not within the same situation, then you probably need to do something separate. I hope that makes sense. Um, so yeah, that's my advice on that. Oh, multiple chakras. Um, yeah, with the way that working was set up, now I did not design that working, but the way that working was created, I believe as long as you specify each chakra and do something specifically for it, um, you'll be you'll be fine. Y'all give me just a second. Y'all give me 1 second. I am actually at my business. I need to do something. 1 second. Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. I'm back. Let's see. Do we have more questions? No more questions. Okay, so y'all don't have any questions for me, which is the whole point of Ask Me Anything. So, somebody said they hopped on a little late. You didn't miss anything. We just had one question. Um, my intention was to come here today to answer any questions that you have, but it doesn't look like you guys have any. Um, I appreciate you showing up to support. I appreciate you showing up. Can I talk about Olokun? Um, I will talk just a little bit about Olokun. Um, oh, why? Y'all, I'm trying to. I'm having so many technical difficulties right now. Oh, I know what I need to do. Okay. Um, okay. Ramora, you have a question, and I will get to you in just a second. Someone asked about Olokun. So Olokun is an Orisha. Olokun is the Orisha of the deep sea. Okay. It is um, believed that this is the land of the ancestors, where the ancestors return to, or where we return to when we transition. Um, Olokun is a mermaid or a man made. I guess that would be the term. Male or female energy, depending on the region that you're talking about or the culture of the people. I have seen Olokun um, described and referred to most often as a male energy. But I was told by a Lukumi priest once that Olokun is both male and female, which we all kind of are, and that either is appropriate. So, um, Olokun's colors are typically gray and like a mother of pearl or gray and a pearlescent color or gray and white. Um, Olokun governs um, buried blessings and things that lie under the surface. Also, um, I don't quite want to say psychic energy because it's deeper than that. It's almost like spirituality in general, kind of. Um, and it's hard for me to talk about Olokun because this energy is just very potent and also very occult. Most things associated with Olokun are very secret. I've actually heard stories about people transitioning while attempting to initiate into the secrets of Olokun. And because we're talking about the deepest depths of the ocean, total darkness, right? Um, there's a very occult aspect to it. And Olokun is not really an energy that I would recommend people to endeavor to tap into, just because there are so many other energetic aspects that we need to master and familiarize ourselves with before we can even endeavor to go there. I mean, when you talk about Olokun, it's like you're talking about the shadows and the powerful aspects of the shadow self, like on steroids. So, um, Olokun is the mother or father of all um, water deity. Okay, so all of the water deity um, come from Olokun energy. Um, y'all, hold on 1 second. All right, cool. Thank you.
What are you doing? Are you filming?
I'm doing a live,
Oh,
but
sorry, I'm interrupting.
that's okay, man.
Did you want to put on close?
No. Okay, I hope that that answered your questions about Olokun. I'm sorry for the interruptions. We will probably continue to be interrupted because when I show up, everybody has a question or something that needs to be dealt with. Somebody said that they worked with Olokun for the shadow work and left-handed magic, but she's also in my court and I have authority to work with her. Oh, okay. Tish said that. I'm sorry. Ifaseye said that. Um, Other than Olokun, is there another energy you recommend that new initiates be careful about? All of um, you should always be careful, Tana, when you are approaching Orisha energy, especially in the beginning. And it's not careful as in like be afraid. It is more be respectful and be wise, because a lot we're talking about energy and we are talking about the purest and most powerful kinds of energy. We're talking about primordial energy, the causes, the very causes of creation. You know, there's a danger in which people, often over personify the Orisha, in my opinion. And this is dangerous because instead of realizing that you are dealing with raw, powerful, emotionless energy, we want to think about them as, Oshun, the beautiful lady sitting beside the river in a yellow dress. There are aspects of every Orisha that are human, and there are aspects of each and every one of us that relate to or is directly under the influence of Orisha energy. But when you start working with Orisha, as people say, you really need to know what you're doing, because tapping into those energies can have effects in our lives, in our mind, and in our world that we may not be able to anticipate in our inexperience. I'll give you an example. Oya energy would be one. And Oya is a very common Orisha as energies go. We all have heard of Oya, if you're on this path, and we know that Oya brings change. Oya is the winds of change, right? Among many other things. But we typically tend to think about Oya as change. Okay. And that sounds kind of benign, right? Things change. We know that change is the only constant, and all kinds of things are going to change. So you think that by tapping into Oya energy, you know, you might experience some changes. But Oya energy is very often signified by cyclones and tornadoes, the kinds of, we're not talking about a gentle breeze of change. We're talking about change that's going to tear the roof off. Okay. I heard somewhere one time that when you bring Oya into the house, she doesn't rearrange the furniture, she tears the house down. Okay. So it's the kind of change that is that can be destructive, depending on your perspective. So you want to make sure that you are prepared for some rebuilding, reorganization, at the very least, reorganization. Sometimes you are starting from scratch. Sometimes when you tap into Oya energy and you welcome that energy in, conjure that energy, you know, you're going to have fallouts in your relationships. Relationships might end. You might find yourself suddenly in a career change or with an opportunity to change careers, but it's always about perspective, right? And so if you're not prepared for the changes that are going to come and come quickly and irreversibly, then you may not be ready or have any idea what you're asking for or what you're working with. And so you need to always approach the Orisha with caution. That's why it's important, and why we teach meditation as a very necessary part of learning to work with Orisha and growing within Orisha reverence and practice, because you want to feel those energies and recognize them when you feel them. Recognize what's rising up or bubbling up in the surface when you are going through things. Also, recognizing that energy will help you be able to actually conjure it or pull it down or pull it out and apply it to those areas of your life that need the attention that only that particular Orisha energy can address. Um, so to go back to your original question, Tana, I would say that you all Orisha should be approached um, with the utmost respect. And before you endeavor to work with an Orisha, you should pray and meditate to that energy. You should ask to experience that energy gently in your life and in ways that will lead to your greatest good. You want to practice prayer and visualization with these energies in particular, so that you can be shown what it is that you need to know about why they are with you at this moment. When you go through your Aleke ceremony with us, um, this is some of what you are encouraged to do. Um, and we have and will be having more classes on working with the Orisha for the Eleke initiates. Prior to that commitment and prior to going through that ritual, I think the best thing to do, like I said, is just to pray and meditate and call on those energies and feel, okay, and allow your intuition to lead you. People a lot of times just want to go ham and just be like, I'm mad at somebody, I need a warrior, let me call Ogun, or let me make Shango a part of this ritual, not really knowing who they're dealing with, number one, and that's very, very important, or how to even call in that energy. And then if you are successful in being able to call that energy in, how do you send it back? How do you close the portal? How do you release that energy? Or now do you just have this iteration of Ogun walking with you indefinitely, um, which could lead to a lot of energetic disruptions? You know, even when we're working with the Holy Odu and we bring in an Odu to do a particular um, medicine or working, you have to know how to close that portal because these are portals of energy. Particularly, Odu are um, call energies. Okay, when you say your own Odu, you're calling. Um, you're speaking through that microphone that speaks directly into your destiny and is attached on the other end to a body of knowledge. Okay. And with every Odu, there are positive attributes and there are um, dangerous or tricky attributes. And so you don't want that portal to always be open because you don't know what's going to come through when. And there's energies attached to each one of these things, which is what brings them about the changes and the situations that come with them. That's what brings them about is energies. Another way to say energy would be angel, Orisha, um, demon, even. Okay. And then in other cultures, you know, they're called fairies or the fae or whatever. They're energies, okay, intelligent um, energies that are capable of moving in whatever direction they see fit. There's a consciousness attached to these energies as well. So um, you just have to be careful, and careful as in wise, not careful as in afraid. Okay. I hope I answered your question because I went in a bunch of different directions. Let me see what other questions we have here. How do you come correctly when dealing with orishas, and how many are there? Okay, so there are 400 plus one orisha. Okay, and the plus one, um, so there's 200 on the left and 200 on the right, and then there is one in the middle, which is which is Eshu, capable of going left or right. But that plus one is also a reference to physics in saying infinite or infinity, because that plus one can be plus and plus and plus. So it's almost as many things as you can imagine, as many things as you can think of, because we are creators, right? As many things as you can create with your mind, there is an energy or an orisha that is associated with that. So that plus one is very, very real. Um, of course, we don't deal with all 401 or 400 orisha. Um, we don't even know them all. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know every single orisha. I've been exposed to many. It depends on the lineage that you're coming out of, the region of Yoruba land that you're talking about, and just your training, and even the time period, even the period in history, in human history, you know, which Risha you're talking about. Typically, we deal with um, about 12 in my coven, and the way that I practice, we deal with about 12 Orisha. some a lot more than others. And these are things that you will learn, when you enter our program, and particularly when you initiate into our program. A lot of people call on the seven African powers, and you guys, the seven African powers are not even a reference to the Orisha. It's become in pop culture a reference to the Orisha. People pick seven of the most prominent Orisha and apply that term, seven African powers. But the seven African powers actually refer to the tribes from West Africa that seeded the diaspora. Okay, the tribes that our unique ancestors, us being the descendants of slavery, those tribes. So that's what the seven African powers actually refer to. And y'all Google everything else. Google that. If you don't believe me, read about it. It's not Orisha, but the Orisha certainly came out of these tribes and out of the spiritual systems that our ancestors came from, which is why, one of the reasons why, at Orisha Hoodoo Institute we teach um, African or West African spirituality in general, because depending on which tribe or region our ancestors came from, um, things may have been, were absolutely, not may have been, were absolutely a little different. Okay. So we're talking about, a gumbo of many different traditions and beliefs. Just anybody else? Okay, can you explain the crossroads concept, please? Like leaving offerings at the crossroads. Okay, so the crossroads is a very big thing that you will hear about, as particularly in hoodoo, but it also exists in African spirituality, and it's a concept that we deal with in Ifa as well, or the practice of Ifa. And in the practice of Ifa, it is Eshu Odara, who governs the crossroads. In New Orleans voodoo, it is Papa Legba that governs the crossroads. And the crossroads, again, I said earlier, there are 400 Orisha, right? 400 plus one. Um, and that plus one is Eshu, because he's able to go back and forth, just like at a crossroad. When you meet a crossroad, a dead end, or a T junction, as people refer to it, you can go left or right. Okay. And sometimes we refer to the crossroads like a four-way intersection, but really the crossroads is where you have to make a decision. So a T junction is a much better um, way to understand the energy. And so it's about decision making. It's about making a choice. It's about choosing a path. Um, and that's what crossroad energy is. You can go left or you can go right. And Eshu actually governs the back of our neck, right, where the brain connects to the spine. So it's the place where the mind and the body meet, which is very fitting, because we know that Eshu governs communication. So the communication between the mind and the brain, which are two different things, and the body itself. So the connection between the spiritual and the mental and the physical. Um, so yeah, that is the crossroads. And those three things are perfectly illustrated or demonstrated in the T junction, because you have the road that you're coming in on, and then you have the road to the left or to the right. So it's a trinity. And Eshu's number is three, and so is Papa Legbas. And so those three areas that we want to be concerned with would be um, the spiritual, the mental or emotional, and the physical. Okay, and so as you can see from that, that represents a huge part of the human experience, and going between the two. Y'all know I will tell you that in order to be a very effective spiritualist or priestess, you have to lose your mind. You have to lose your mind. And what I mean by that is that you lose um, the control that your mind as an organ has over you, because we know that organs can malfunction. You know, people end up on dialysis because the kidneys malfunction. People need pacemakers because the heart malfunctions. The mind is capable of malfunctioning, but our head, our ori, is not. Okay. And so I hope that makes sense. The plus one could include us. No. Um, Not any more than the 400 include you. The Orisha are present within us and all around us. And so that plus one representing infinity really represents the limitless nature of creation, because we know that Orisha are creative energies, right? And so um, they are creator gods, and so are we. We're not necessarily on the same lateral plane as the Orisha. Of course, we're not, because we're dense and we're physical and we're solid and we can see one another. Whereas the Orisha energy, we can see evidence of the energy, you know, but we can't see Orisha because they're not in this plane. So, no, the 400, the one in the 401 Orisha does not refer to us, but it does refer to our ability to co create and to interact with Orisha energy. So, someone said, do I believe that our ancestors are from other planets? Um, what I will say is that having, um, mm, okay, you should research the Dogon. Familiarize yourself with the Dogon people of Mali. I have Malayan ancestry, as many of us do, um, coming from West Africa. And the Dogon people of Mali actually were the first people to reveal the existence of, um, I don't want to use the word extraterrestrial, but like intelligent civilizations from other celestial regions. Okay. So the Dogon spoke about Sirius B, and that is where their ancestors, or in my case, our ancestors, came from. And that they came into this reality or realm from another one, another realm that was from a different celestial region. Okay. And the Mali go into great detail, and the Mali, the um the Dogon. But the very interesting thing is that the information that they were sharing and talking about has only recently been actually confirmed using white people methodology. So they've only recently been able to say, okay, there is another galaxy, and it does contain, you know, these celestial bodies that the Dogon people mentioned. And they're realizing that what the Dogon have been saying, because this is their creation story, science is just now realizing that they are right and exact in their memories. And so I really do recommend that you all go and read about the Dogon. And if you are interested and you don't have time to read, there are very many really good videos and documentaries on Dogon. So I would just play it and have it in the background and familiarize yourself with it, because they have a wealth of knowledge um, about our celestial ancestry, the mothership, and all that good stuff. It doesn't look like you guys have any more questions. Somebody said the Dogon gave us invaluable knowledge. Absolutely. Everybody should familiarize themselves with the Dogon, especially if you're interested in um, our extraterrestrial ancestors. I'm looking for questions in case I skipped anybody. I'm over here on Facebook. I don't think we really have that many people coming from YouTube, so I'm just gonna look at Facebook. It doesn't look like you guys have any questions. Is there anybody that would like to ask a question? And if you'd like to ask your question on the live, you can actually, if you're in my, well, all of you must be in one of my groups. Um, you can actually click on the StreamYard link so that I can bring you on, which I love to do because it feels so weird just talking by myself because I'm used to Zoom broadcasts and things like that. Javon asked, "What are my opinions on Lemuria?" I don't really have one. I don't have opinions about things that people, about remembrances that people have, um, because they're infinite. And I do not really deal with Lemuria because I deal with so many other things that I feel speak directly to my DNA and my seat of power. And so while I am a religious scholar, and a theologian, I just don't have the time or the means to delve into every ancient civilization that is said to have contributed to our reality. But there are many people who believe in Lemuria. There are many people who feel like the Lemurian um, technology, for example, seeded some of the technology that we're using right now. And I don't really have an opinion. It is possible. But what I do know is that Ifa is the first binary code system demonstrated and actively used by human beings. And it is the foundation of this computer that you are able to see me on right now. So I don't really need to go much further than IFA because it contains the IFA corpus, rather, contains everything that I need to understand the world and my place in it. Um, but I don't have a problem or take issue with people studying other things. I mean, people say that MU was like the first civilization, or one of the first, civilizations. And then, you have Atlantis, of course, and Lemuria as well. So, you know, it's ridiculous to think that there were not ancient civilizations that were very advanced. Um, but you just have to pick what you're going to study and where you're going to put your energy, because there is so much out there. um I don't know if that answers your question. How can you know, improve, and trust your spiritual gifts? Practice meditation, Leah. Meditation and practice. If you have not already, you need to get an ancestral life path reading. um I see that you just joined Akarele. If you are able to put the links up like you always do, that would be great. If you haven't already had an ancestral life path reading and you're on this broadcast, you want to do that, because in the ancestral life path reading, we tap into the energy of your ancestors, the ancestral energy that's around you at the moment. When we do the reading, it's like a snapshot, right? And so we're able to read that energy and find out, what areas of your life you need to be concerned with. We're able to find out um, what Orisha energy may be walking with you at this time. We're able to find out when the windows for communication are open. or when the veil is thinner. And from this information, we will give you a prayer and meditation ritual that you can follow, among other things that we arm you with in this reading. So the ancestral life path reading is a great place to start to find out what you personally need to do, my love, to get on your path, okay, and to find your personal seat of power. The way you're going to be exposed to your gifts is to ask. Ask what my gifts are. Show me my gifts, and either your Ori or your ancestral energy will provide you with those answers. You know, even the Bible says, knock and the door shall be open, ask and you will receive. That's a universal truth. All you have to do is ask. Everything that you need is there for you, waiting for you to tap in. And you have to do that regularly and intentionally. And with practice, you will get better. Practice makes priestess, okay? So you must practice intentionally, and be dedicated to it. A lot of people, you know, I talked about this yesterday in our O'Shea service. um, Things like being an empath are are kind of a buzzword right now. You know, everybody talks about how they're empath, and most of the times when you hear people talk about it, they are speaking as if they're burdened by this gift. And you know, oh, I'm an empath. I can't go into a public setting because I get so upset because I feel everybody's energy. Well, you are not in tune with your gifts. You're not using your gifts. You're not using your gifts to empower you, because nothing that we are given, even people with disabilities, you guys, everything, ev- Obatala owns um, people with special needs and um, physical impairments, for lack of a better word. And even those situations are divine in nature. Everything that happens to us happens for us, and everything we have is for our greatest good, right? So having the gift of empathy is not meant to paralyze you socially. It's meant to empower you to help other people, because that's what we all came here to do. No one is gifted for their singular benefit. And so if you're feeling burdened by your gifts, or you don't know how to use them, or whatever you got going on, is because you have not sat and worked with your gifts. You haven't practiced. Practice makes priestess again. Okay. So you have to know what your gifts are for. It's not enough to just be like, oh, I see dead people. Why? Why do you see dead people? Okay. What's the reason for that? Because our creator is infinitely wise. None of us will be given a gift or put into a situation without there being a purpose behind it, a divine purpose at that. Remember, we are all here to assist each other and to improve each other's experience. So know that you have a gift. You all have gifts. There's something that only you can do, or something that you can do that no one else can do like you. At either way, you're not going to know until you first ask. You have not because you ask not, right? Priestess Milani just typed that as as a comment, and that is the absolute truth. We get the Bible tells us that, right? You have not because you ask not. So you must ask for your gifts, and then you must practice with them. You must find out how they are meant to be used, how your gifts are meant to improve the experience of others and empower yourself. Any other questions? I'm trying to. Yes, B, we do teach a herbalism. We teach several. We have several herbalism classes and even more to come. And someone just put the link for our herbal classes. Those are really good starting points. Any other questions? Is the practice of Ifa exclusive to descendants of Yoruba? Um, I'm gonna say no. Um, I will say no because I think that at some point we all have enough shared ancestry for it to be reasonable to, and when I say we all, I'm talking about descendants of the diaspora, right? So if you're a person with German and Irish ancestry, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say this ain't your stuff, okay? But that being, and I mean the cultural practice, I mean the very cultural aspects of Ifa. But on a esoteric and spiritual level, we are talking about primordial energies and we are talking about the forces of creation. And we have created a world that we share. And for that reason, I know that Orisha energy is present with every person. Now, depending on the culture that you come out of, that energy may have been um, described by ancestors of that culture in different ways. The Orisha may have been given different names. Um, Different, there are different pantheons within every culture and civilization, and I think that that is true. Or that you will find the Orisha wherever you look. I've been all over the world and I always manage to find God and find Orisha, which is why I've never been one who couldn't go into a Buddhist temple, who couldn't go into a Hindu temple, who couldn't. I've always been very comfortable traveling between belief systems and familiarizing myself with different belief systems, which is why we are the Orisha Hoodoo Institute, because I know that God is, full stop. Okay. God is, meaning God is everywhere. God is in everything. God is working with all of us everywhere, every day, all the time. And so I don't get caught up on traditions and labels and rules. There was a group you guys probably saw that had a whole lot to say about what we were doing um a couple of months ago, and I wasn't bothered at all because I know that policing religion and policing God is a human function. And it is so ridiculous and small minded because we can't even fathom, even those of us who have devoted our lives to the practice and pursuit of God and spirituality, cannot even begin to fathom the reaches of God in creation, much less our own lives. So for someone to say that this is the only way to talk to God and this is the only way to interact with creation and this is how you have to do it or you're doing it wrong is ridiculous. Anybody that says that, I would never trust a word that they have to say because they are actually be so behind reality in their understanding of God. You cannot put God in a box, nor can you put the Orisha in a pot. Okay. As a devotee, you can have a pot or a vessel through which you interact with Orisha energy, but you have to know that that's not the sum total of the Orisha energy. And you have to know that that's not the only way to contact and interact with that energy. It is a way, and it is a very effective way, and it is a way that we respect and revere because of the time and the absolute love that has gone into um, the preservation of that practice and that way, but it's not the only way. Okay. And so, to answer your question, my reflection, you can work with Orisha regardless of what your actual DNA is. However, I think that a person who is completely unconnected culturally to Yoruba culture may run into difficulties, even on a spiritual level, because there are other energies that are going to be more appropriate for that person to tap into. There are other sources that are going to be more appropriate for that person to tap into because their DNA is coded for that. Okay. And so that's my answer. You can if you want to, but it may not work out as easily or as effortlessly as you want for it to. And a person is going to probably run into some serious cultural and racial fuckery trying to connect if they just don't have the DNA to support it. Okay. Looking for questions, y'all. Can you explain how crystals are used in workings? Leah, you can go to our calendar, our website. That is not, I don't want to send you to African Magic School, which you can go there. There's so much really, really great information. But I actually want you to go to Akirelli, can you please post the link for it's up here. Please post the general link for my calendar. And from there, they're able to see all the classes that I have versus African Magic School. Because African Magic School is everything that we have at BSN, which is really great. But my full content is not on that site. Yes. Yes, Sakarelli, to answer your question. That's the site I'm talking about. Yep, orishahoodoo.as.me. So that's where you can go to find my full class offering. And there you will see we have classes for how to work with crystals. It's a very introductory class, but it's a good start. And then if you want to learn more, of course, you're going to want to join our mentorship program or our coven to actually, get more in-depth information. Okay, Tana says she's 33% Nigerian. Yes, we all, um, chances are, have quite a bit of Nigerian and Yoruba ancestry because we just know that that's where our ancestors came from. Those of us who are whose ancestry was part of the transatlantic slave trade, a lot of Yoruba people were caught up in that. So that's why um, Ifa and Orisha are very comfortable for us. You know, it's very comfortable for us. It's an easy remembrance a lot of times once we take out all of the politics and white supremacy. We are very easy. It's easy for us to slide back into the remembrance of those traditions. Any other questions, you guys? Come on. Get me while you got me. We have the fourth and final installment of our Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Millionaire series coming up on Wednesday. It will be at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. And if you are interested in attending, you will need to reach out to a moderator in your group. If you are in the coven, then you'll automatically be given the link and have access. Okay. Javon is saying that she's Nigerian as well, 39%. Yeah, that's going to be very common among descendants of the diaspora to have a whole lot of Yoruba DNA, Yoruba ancestry. We cousins, y'all. Can you explain numerology concept in African spirituality and how to work the numbers? What I will explain, Leah, you want me to just teach on here. Y'all gonna have to come to my classroom where I actually teach. Um, and you can do so by joining one of our community outreach programs or our traditional mentorship program. And that is starting, the traditional mentorship program is starting December 1. We have a new module starting. And so if you're interested, you can go to the calendar link that's being posted, and you can pay the deposit for the mentorship program. And then from there, you will be invited into our community where the teaching begins. But Leah, just to kind of address your question and not brush over it completely, um, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, and I will say it 1,000 times more. The language of the universe is math. Mathematics is the language of the universe, okay? Which is why even the Ifa corpus can be broken down into verses, and the binary code being the answer key to those verses. It's all mathematics. So this is something that most indigenous cultures recognize, Leah, the presence of math and exactness, for lack of a better word, in the universe, and in the way we experience even nature. So that being said, numbers have a vibration. When we experience them in nature, there's a particular vibration that comes with that. When we experience them, even within ourself, experience numbers there, that is. Um, there's a particular vibration that comes. And so I teach numerology as it relates to the playing cards because I teach cartomancy, right? And so I teach the the energetic signature of numbers, um, in that body of knowledge. So, something that won't be a surprise to anybody is the number two, right? The number two has um an energy of partnership, um of complementary energies, the poles, for example, North Pole and South Pole, or left and right, hot and cold. Okay, so that would be an example of how numerology is observed in in our world and in our reality. We've all heard cliches like opposites attract, right? That's talking about complementary energies, that whole yin and yang thing. So, if you want to learn more about numerology, the way I teach it is through cartomancy. I don't have a separate class on numerology. I haven't endeavored to do so because I just don't know that it has an application in my practice or the practice that I teach. But if you want to learn more about how I see numbers, you can do so by entering, I'm trying to think of which. So the cartomancy unit is not available on our website. It's not available through our purchase links. You would have to actually enter the mentorship program. But if you want more information, just shout out to one of the mods in your group. Does Ifa and astrology intersect anywhere? That is such a good question. That's a very, very good question. And the answer is yes, absolutely. That's something that I'm actually studying right now, and I'm in the process of putting that together in a way that's digestible. But okay, I don't want to give away. I don't want to give away like I don't want to. I'm not ready to share my thesis at this time. Um, but what I have found, and I'm not a big astrology person. Okay, I'm not a very big astrology person. Um, what I have found in my study, and I'm studying for the purpose of divination, okay, so that I can teach it. Um, when you talk about Orisha energy, And for this purpose, we have to speak about the most prominent Orisha. And so, just for argument's sake or simplicity's sake, I should say, I'm going to say, Oshun, Oya, Shango, Ogun, Eshu, Obatala, um, Ochosi. No, Yemeya. Okay. And I probably won't even remember those, but that's seven. That's seven Orisha energy. What I am finding in my study is that you have Orisha energy that rule particular signs. So, or that are custodians, I think is better, of particular signs. And so, what you find is that people who are born under a particular sun sign are very, very likely to also be children of a particular Orisha. Um, so that's one way that I have that in my own study and practice, that I found that there is a conjunction. Um, and then when you talk about creation and you talk about the Orisha that govern certain aspects of reality, you will also find that same energy visible and available in the way we have geographically carved up the sky. Okay. Um, so it's a process that I am still studying. And so, for that reason, I don't want to say too much because I'm writing a book about it and it's something that I'm going to teach. But there is definitely an overlap. And of course, there is, because as I said earlier, we're talking about universal truths. So, no one culture is just making something up, y'all, which is why it's so ridiculous, again, for people to fight over religion and for people to police religion, because the truth is, full stop. And God belongs to no one and everyone and is everyone. And so, if one culture recognizes the influence of celestial bodies and celestial phenomena and events on the people of their culture, and they write about it and they note it and they teach it, you have to understand and just know that other cultures have done the same things. Now, what we observe may be different because guess what? The sky is different in different hemispheres, right? Um, and depending on at what point in their history they begin to deal with that knowledge, there's going to be a difference, because why? The sky changes, okay? However, that act of understanding the influence and the notating that relationship between the celestial atmosphere and climate on people is something that every group of people has done throughout human history. So, yes, there's absolutely an overlap. What it looks like, how we can use it to improve our experience, is something that I, as a scholar, am studying and working with right now. And so, as soon as I get to a place where I can talk about it, I'm going to be so, so, so excited to do so. But I'm just not ready yet. But I encourage you to make that a part of your study as well, because if it's a frequency that I'm picking up on, it's something that I'm studying and working with, it's something that's out there that we need to, for all of our sake, wrap our mind around and understand. So I encourage you to get in there with me and see what you can figure out about it and tell somebody. See, do we have other questions? Oh, Priestess Milani, that was your question. I'm sitting here going on and on like I'm talking. It was still a good question. That was still a good question. Um, how did my interest in these things start? Girl, I just woke up like this, like day one. um, I've been obsessed with God since I was a small child. Um, it's just a part of, it's a part of who I am. It is my destiny. When you read my chart, you see that if you know how to read charts and predict or prophesy based on that, then you'll see that it is written, in the stars for me to do this work. And before I knew any of that, I was just obsessed with people's relationships with God. When I was a child, I thoroughly enjoyed going to other churches and worshiping with other people because I was absolutely fascinated why people did it different. Why everybody called it church and everybody said they were talking to God, but they did it so differently. And so that curiosity and fascination just stayed with me. And so as I got older, I am blessed to have grown up in a family that had the means and the mental fortitude to deal with my curiosities and my questions, and the means to send me abroad to study and to learn, and to be exposed. And so this is something that I've always done. I've always traveled and studied and written and taught, um, what I've learned and what I think. And so I just got started when I got born. That's what happened. Okay, Javon, my husband is white and he loves how you teach. He's noticed that others are somewhat racist in their teachings, but he absolutely loves you and how you word things. Ah, well, tell your husband it is my pleasure to be a blessing. Y'all, racism is stupid. It's stupid. Um, I have an old reading that I did where I actually ask the ancestors. It's a bone reading. It's on my YouTube channel, and I actually throw bones and I ask the ancestors about racism. Racism is so stupid, you guys, because you understand that we're spirits having a human experience, and you may be African American today, um, and the next time you're born, you could be any other iteration of creation. And so race is a strictly human condition. It doesn't mean that it's not important, and it does dictate the cultures that we come out of. And there's an aspect of race that speaks to our DNA, which we know is the coding, um, is celestial and like scientific coding of who we are, what kind of um, being we are, but it's such a small part. Even, and y'all know I'm always saying mathematics is the language of the universe. Even within our own DNA, do y'all know that the genes that determine race are just like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction? Okay, we're so much more than our skin color, than the texture of our hair. It's just very ridiculous, really, for people to get caught up on that. But understand that that's political too. It's very political because when you look at ancient civilizations, human beings by nature are tribal. And there's nothing wrong with that. We are tribal. We identify ourselves by our people. That's a human characteristic. But it is only when those differences are the cause, or never really the cause, but the scapegoats, or the excuse for exclusion and war, that we have a problem. Ancient places like, um, well, Babylon's probably not a really good example because we have a lot of bad shit coming out of Babylon. But in many ancient civilizations, cultures and clans worked together, interacted with one another. Human nature is going to dictate that there is some prejudice, but racism, the way we experience and the way we have experienced it over the last 600 years the um, under the reign of white supremacy, is something that's very different, and it is absolutely political. But I think that there's a spiritual aspect of it too. Not all white people are participants any more than we're participants in what's going on, but we are all somehow victimized by the practice of trying to place one race of people above another. It's not natural, and it's not reasonable, and it's not godly. um, if we believe in God and we know that God created, that we collectively as God created this experience that we're having for our enjoyment, um, then we know that racism is like a whole other thing, you know, that it's a wild card that exists in the polarization of energies, which is a natural part of what holds things together. So it's kind of like one of those fucked up things that we just have to deal with, and fight against, because it's not helpful for anyone. Um, it's not helpful for anyone. It doesn't help anybody, even the top. Well, let me not turn this into a political conversation, but I will say that spiritually, it's ridiculous. Um, it is a practice of people who are very spiritually underdeveloped, and if they are developed, they are leaning into the left, and that we all have the choice, you know, about where and how we are going to show up for our fellow human beings. Um, we fight not with flesh and blood, y'all, but with principalities in high places, and division, discrimination, and abuse. Um, are part of the fabric of the universe in a very sad but truthful way. And so we just have to fight. We just have to find balance. But thank you, Javon, and thank your husband for enjoying my talks. I do the best. I do the best that I can. You know, it's hard, when you're working in a traditional African religion, because it is traditionally African, right? And we want to preserve our cultures and keep it that way. And people from other cultures will be interested. The knowledge belongs to us all, um, which is why I make the distinction between the knowledge and the truth versus the culture. I think that it is perfectly reasonable for cultures to, endeavor to keep their cultures intact. I think that it is perfectly reasonable for people to be upset when their cultures are being appropriated and, remixed and sold, you know, on the consumer market. People have accused me of doing that. I tell those people to kiss my ass, however, because I am of this culture. It does belong to me, as much as it belongs to any other person, in the diaspora. And so I do what I want to with my shit. Okay. And I'm going to use it to help my people, which is what I do with it. I'm not out here, you know, um, hurting people. And 9 times out of 10, when people have a problem with what I'm doing, they aren't doing anything. So they can sit here and critique what I'm doing as if I'm destroying the culture or somehow hurting the culture, but then they don't have, an alternative to give you. They can't teach a class to nobody about nothing, don't have the background, the affoche, the technology, or any of that. So I think that the knowledge applies to us all and belongs to us all. Universal truths simply are, full stop. But I think that cultures need to be respected. You know, we have to respect people's cultures. I wouldn't, you know, well, whatever. I'm not even going to go into all the possibilities of things that I could be doing right now that I've decided not to, out of respect for not only, you know, the Yoruba culture, but other cultures that I've come in contact with, that I've studied. You know, um, you have to be careful, and it's a delicate dance between helping people and spreading the good news, and, being a scholar and a communicator, right? It's a delicate dance between doing those things and telling secrets, right? Things that cultures and people hold dear. And so you just have to have really good intentions, and you have to pray, and you have to trust the guidance that you're receiving when you set out to do things, you know. um my intentions are pure and always have been, you know. And so as long as that remains the case, um I'll keep doing what I'm doing, you know. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, how do I view the law of attraction and the law of assumption in African spirituality? Um, as I said before, I believe that universal truths just are, you know, and so what applies in general to this experience will also and absolutely apply in African spirituality. So let's just take, for example, the law of attraction. We know that that's a universal truth. It's a fact, um, by way of physics, right? So like attracts like. And so if we're talking, spiritually or experientially, then, we've known this for eons, let's refer to the Bible, which I keep doing. I do often because, it's one of the oldest texts that we, as descendants of the diaspora, tend to agree on for the most part as a historical or allegorical text, right? So in the Bible, even it says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So, what does that mean? It means that the thoughts that you produce, because we know that creation starts with a thought, transitions to the word, then energy moves and things become. So, as a man thinketh, the things that you think, so will you become, because your thoughts govern your speech. Your speech creates or supports actions, which is how things manifest in this reality that we share. So, the law of attraction just is a fact. It's not a thing to be debated, and it applies to absolutely every culture. And so you will find instances within the Ifa corpus where in the Odu, people are advised to watch their tongue, to watch their mouth, to watch their thoughts, because that understanding is part of the Ifa corpus clearly. And our ancestors knew that we have the ability to influence creation by the way we think, the way we talk, and the way that we behave. And we attract more of what we are to us. Let's see. When asked about religion, what should I say? Natalie, I'm gonna have to bring you on camera to talk to you about this. um, I don't really know how to answer that. I don't know what you should say about your religion. Okay. Hopefully I'm back. Can y'all hear me and see me? Internet started tripping. Okay, good. Well, y'all, I've been on here a lot longer than I intended. Does anybody have any questions, anything that I didn't touch upon? I've been on here for an hour and a half. I did not intend to do that. And y'all, this is my to-do list. I got like a 2-page to-do list, okay? I got so much work to do. I just wanted to love on y'all for a few minutes, but I really do have a lot to do. And I'm hungry. I need to find something to eat. Oh my God, I have so much to do. You missed the religious explanation. Now you know good and well, Priestess Melania, I'm not gonna be able to remember what I said. She asked what religion should she tell people. Okay, so I was saying that religion, the word itself, means something that is done over and over again, right? To be religious is to repeat something. It refers to rituals, which our practice is filled with. We love a good ritual. But those rituals, understand, are okay. What is a ritual? Our rituals were created and have evolved through ancestral experience of working with deity and the forces of nature. And so our ancestors um, did things in a particular way because experience taught them that if they do things in a particular way, they will get a predictable result. And so we are always looking for predictable results. We want to know that if we do something, it's going to work, and it's going to work like this, okay? That's really what religion is based on. That's why in religions we do things on certain days, okay? At certain times, in certain ways, we stand or we sit. We may add things to the mix, like a candle. We may add song or drumming or things that move energy in a particular way because we learned through practice that doing so gets us a predictable result. Okay. And so that's really what religion is all about. It's a collection of directives that come out of a particular culture based on ancestral experience that um, I don't want to say guarantee, but that are likely to produce a desired result. Okay. And every religion, that's true. You know, people pray a particular way because that's the way their ancestors did it and it worked. People sing particular songs um, in a particular setting because when they do, um, they get a result that they can appreciate or that they're looking for. So that's what religion is. Religion is not the actual practice itself of connecting with deity, working with deity. It is the cultural commands that govern doing so. Okay. So if you are a part of this culture, or if you want to be a part of this group of people, then you must do it this way because that's how it's done. But it doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. So, for example, if you have a loved one who has transitioned, you know, in a Southern Baptist church, um, you're going to have the family march in after everyone's seated. You're going to have, you know, the choir sing songs, particular, very specific songs. that are sung for funerals. You're going to have the preacher, pastor, um, or religious leader of that church, but we talk about a Baptist church, so you can have a preacher get up and speak and speak about that person's life, and also apply Bible to this moment of transition to soothe the hearts of the loved ones in the audience, and help people to better understand the transition being a natural order of things. And you may have a few people get up and speak about the person's life to help us all feel good, also to edify the spirit and the echoes of energy of that person that remain. So um and then we'll have a repast and we'll fellowship and all eat together after the person has been buried. Okay, so that's how we lay people to rest in a Southern Baptist tradition. That's a very loose explanation, right? Description. You take another culture. I want to do justice to a particular culture, but I have so many different things running through my head. In another culture, for example, the person may be buried immediately. Okay. um, that body of that person may be wrapped in a particular solution cloth that's been soaked in a particular solution, or just white cloth in general. That body is wrapped up, and that person is buried, placed directly into the ground, or maybe in a very simple box. Here in the US, we do these outlandish coffins that cost thousands of dollars. But in other cultures, it may be much more simple and much more immediate, right? So the person transitions, the family comes together. Oh my God, they died. We prepare the body, we put the body in the ground because they have to be buried. They have to be returned to the earth, right? Immediately, as soon as possible. So within a day or two at the most of that person transitioning, the body's buried, right? But the funeral may happen weeks after. And the funeral may, from our vantage point, be more of a party, more of a celebration than it is this somber moment that we're accustomed to having. Why am I saying all this? I'm saying this because in both scenarios, whether um, we keep the body out for a week, which is what I'm saying, which is typical in the southern US where I'm from, right? We keep the body out for a week. The body's at the funeral home, they're being dressed. We have this very elaborate way of dealing with bodies, hair, makeup, all that is done so that the body can be presented, which is very, very different from a lot of indigenous cultures. So we do that, and then we have the funeral procession, and the person is buried, right? And then we eat together, and then that's done. It's over with, right? So a week to 10 days is the process, that we go through when we have a loved one that transitions. Well, in another part of the world, like I said, the body's buried immediately, but then you have this long drawn out process of collecting money and collecting food, and everybody getting the same cloth, and then outfits are made because everyone must dress alike, and then musicians and drummers and people are called from other regions to come in to play, and you literally have a 2 to 3 day event for this person who may have died a few months ago. In both of those situations, the person died. In both of those situations, the family came together. In both of those situations, um, reverence was paid to the life of that person, but they look very, very different. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's like what I mean about religion. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? In both scenarios, somebody died and they were buried. That's got to happen, or they could be burned, I guess. But somebody died, and the body had to be dealt with. But the way that cultures go about doing that is so very different, and that is part of religion. And one is not better than the other, and one is not wrong. It's just different. And that's the way it is when we pray to God. That's the way it is when people get married. You know, that's the way it is when we bless. and fortify a baby when a new child is born. We, as cultures, have different ways of doing that, and one is not better than the other, is just different. And so, religiously, I think you should identify with what you identify with. I mean, that's really just the short answer, not even trying to be a smart ass. Like, whatever you identify as that. And if there's not one particular practice, then you have to um just be comfortable with saying that you have your own practice. Orisha hoodoo is a practice that is born of my experience and my intentions, and it is what it is. And a lot of people, think it's wrong. A lot of people say you can't mix Orisha with hoodoo. I mean, clearly, but we can. Okay. So um that's my answer for that. Speaking of prayer, how should we pray? Yes, there is a very certain way you should be praying, and you will learn to pray within our mentorship program. We have several classes on prayer, and it's one of the most introductory things that we do in our traditional or paid mentorship program. You can also join our, can somebody please put the link for L0 in the comments? You can join our community outreach program, which is our free mentorship program. And from there, you can move through the process and you'll be exposed to our prayer philosophy. Okay. Oh, you're in L1. Okay. All right, babe. Well, just stick around. You'll learn. There's so much to learn. There's so much to learn, but we do an exhaustive dive into the practice of prayer, and it's not something that's one and done. You'll continue to be tutored and advised on how to pray. Okay. Anybody else? Is there anyone that would like to hop on the screen with me and say hi to the beautiful people? Priestess Milani, are you available or interested? Anybody? I know some of y'all are at work and stuff, and that's fine if you can't. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. I know there's a bit of a delay, so if we don't have any other questions, I am going to end this broadcast. I'm sorry about the little hiccup that we had. It bees like that sometimes. I thank you guys so much for joining me. Y'all know that I love you truly and deeply and timelessly. And here is Priestess Milani. I'm going to just bring her on. Um, add to screen. Hey, girl, hey.
You guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. Hello. I'm on a small break from teaching, so here I am. It's good to see you all. You guys had some really good questions today. Priestess took a pretty decent chunk of her time today to talk to us and kind of give us that guidance and stuff that we've been needing, those questions that just might be burning. So we thank Priestess for that. So you guys know her Cash App if you'd like to send some Cash App her way. Also, the links and stuff were dropped. I did just want to let you guys know that we do have classes coming up. There's a new round of the Shadow Mentorship that's starting on December the 9th. I know a lot of you were asking about that. That link is now in the Facebook page. It's also in all of the WhatsApp chats and stuff like that. Priestess Ifaleye is teaching a course with Hoodoo Queen Iris Rose this Friday at 8 o'clock on grounding. It's free, so you guys should definitely come to that class. I'm also going to be teaching a class this Friday at 7 on how to make elderberry syrup. We're going to have a lot of fun. You guys are going to get to come into my kitchen and we can do some kitchen witchery. That's going to be a whole series that I'm going to do, so I'm going to be really excited to work with you guys and do that. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited about all the things we have in the pipeline for you all coming up in the new year. It's going to be really good. I recommend you guys get into the outreach program if you're not, and to get into traditional mentorship so we can really be more hands-on with you guys and guide you in your practice and where you're going with your practice.
Thank you. Thank you. We do have some really good stuff coming up, y'all. I apologize for not being so tech savvy because I really want to. I'm not going to get off of here before I post the links that I want y'all to have because people don't understand, I guess, what I'm asking for. Um, Priestess, can you talk a little bit about how have you experienced astrology? Somebody asked such a great question earlier. And I couldn't talk too much about it because the project that I'm working on, I don't want to give away too much about my endeavors, but someone asked about the overlap between Ifa or Orisha and astrology. And I'm just thinking now about how much of an overlap there is in cartomancy when we read the cards. Do you have anything that you can say about that? Because I thought that was such a great question.
Priestess, that was my question.
That's right. That was you. I keep forgetting. It was such a good question. I wanted it to be from the people. It was your ass. Never mind. I should make you talk about it because you're in a better position to talk about it than I am. I'm not an astrology person aside from the studying that I'm doing now for this project. It's hold on. Hmm? You're breaking up now. I forgot that was you, Milani. I'm so mad at you. Trying to make me work hard with that good ass question. Y'all, looks like we lost Milani. You're still frozen, babe. I'm trying to add you back, but you frozen. Okay. She's frozen, so I'm gonna take her off. Um, y'all, I put my Cash App in the chat. Y'all want to buy me lunch? I've been on here with y'all for 2 hours. You don't have to. I just did O'Shea yesterday, and a lot of people made love offerings. I'm grateful. But they're always appreciated. Um, I'm just going to put on here the same link that people have been putting, which is actually I'm not even going to put it because people girl, we can't do that. Y'all go to Orisha hoodoocoven.as.me, okay? /. Okay, there you are.
Hey guys,
It wasn't working before, girl. It was
can you guys
working.
see me again?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
So I was just talking about astrology. Welcome to my house. I was just talking about astrology, and I love astrology and everything to do with it. I've recently been diving into how to read other people's astrology charts. And once I get that down, I hope to be able to offer that to you guys. But that's something that I've been studying. So I've, really been interested in how I can incorporate that and work that into my practice with Ifa and hoodoo and stuff like that. So yeah, I love astrology and the stars and the constellations and just plugging through it, and I incorporate that a lot into my magic and my practice. So
Yeah.
I recommend that you guys do the same. It's important to kind of layer your magic, layer your work so that you can bring in, multiple energies and multiple ways to source your magic, because the less of your own that you have to put in, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, figure out those ways to like layer your magic.
Agreed. So we told them about the class grounding. There's a grounding ritual coming up. There's the elderberry syrup class coming up. There is a second round to um, shadow work that's coming up. Um, what else am I leaving out? Oh, Wednesday night we have the final.
Round of mentorship.
Oh yes, we have mentorship coming up December 1st. A new module of mentorship starting, and then Wednesday is the final installment in our millionaire series, the Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise series, and we have an amazing guest that's going to be talking to you guys about how she made money in real estate. So we have a lot of really good stuff coming up, you guys. We work really, really hard as a collective to put together content and material that's going to be useful to you guys. We don't ever want to um, shout into empty rooms or bore you. So please let us know what kinds of things you would like to learn. Also, be prepared to actually come and learn and exchange energy with us. And, we will keep doing this as long as it's good. And right now, it's pretty good. So we thank you. And
Yeah.
if there's nothing else, may the ancestors watch between me and thee until we meet again, you guys.